Good morning. It's been a while since I've done a video. This is Friday morning religious coffee rant with Dan. I'm Dan. I just woke up, and that's when I usually do most of these things. Right? Why have my brain working when I do this? I really don't have to have it working 100% with what I'm seeing. But anyway, maybe I should take that back. I should have all cylinders firing correctly. I'm not gonna get angry this morning like I usually do when I'm trying to speak common sense. You know, some of the people that I've looked at as being highly awakened with what's going on, you know, their colors start to come out as soon as you start talking about their holy cows, okay? And when we start putting religion into the matter, I see people just get really like, it's like they're personally being attacked. And the psychology behind it is because you're attacking a belief system that they've clung to and been told to their whole life, so they have to defend it. Their ego has to defend it at all costs. Now, what I'm thinking is maybe when you realize that the governments of the world throughout history have lied, okay, and history has often been written by the conquerors, and the conquerors have often been bad people, you have to start questioning everything. Okay? God is not some bearded dude in the sky, okay? There is no hell or lake of fire like you think. They want to keep our souls here. We're in a spiritual war. So part of what they're doing is they want to entrap souls here with transhumanism, okay, which is a little bit of a different agenda, or a different part of the agenda, a different spoke on the wheel of evil, so to speak. But I'm looking at, yeah, I want to word this carefully because this video is going to also be on YouTube. I'm looking at how some of the stuff that is breaking out over yonder, I've seen crisis actors. I've seen two small 15-year-old kids have a full-size adult soldier captive. That's not real, okay? I seen one guy slapping another guy outside. What is it? What is it? All right, let's go. Hey, I'll be right back. Let's go. What is it? What is it? Come here. Let's see. What is it? Good job. Good job, boy. Good job. All right, man's best friend. Dan's best friend. Defending me from another dog that was being walked outside. So anyway, where was I at? Oh, well, what I'm seeing is when I was in the Marine Corps, I partook in an event at the Naval Academy in which terrorists had blown people up and taken hostage, and I wrote about this in my book, Rise from Darkness, Who Are They? And I wrote at it, at length, but just to give a brief explanation, I actually had a real adrenaline dump, and I knew it was just an exercise. Because these crisis actors were coming out and holding arms and stuff that were bleeding stumps, and I was like, that looked real, And they knew better than to give young Marines real rounds. But we had like blank rounds. We were supposed to surround the building and do security, but I mean, it looked real. And this was without CGI. This wasn't on television. This was in real life. And it was back in 1992. So I'm looking at what I'm seeing. I'm seeing, one guy slapping at another guy on a golf cart, and he's laughing and smiling. Okay, I see a old woman who was being taken hostage and prisoner, and man, she looked happy as can be. The soldiers looked happy, and it didn't look like there was a lot of stress going on. Okay, now what's going on now? Okay, I don't doubt the bombs and everything. They claim that this was a certain country's. Is it real? Had their 9/11? Indeed, their 9/11. Maybe because it was an inside job. I don't know. Anyway, the powers that be in this world want us all murdering each other. They want us killing each other. They want to have the whole Middle East fighting. They want our troops busy. And violence has never solved anything. It temporarily solves things, but it always begets more violence. Now, I'm not going to sit here and preach love and any kind of stuff like that. But what I am going to say is God isn't some invisible man in the sky. The God of the Old Testament is the devil. Okay? He wanted blood sacrifices. He wanted firstborn children murdered. He was a jealous God. Sounds really, really like a neurotic, narcissistic human psycho to me. Okay? We have to heal the contradictions within ourselves. The entire Old Testament is nothing but contradictions. Many things in the New Testament are also contradicting. Jesus was trying to teach against those contradictions, and they murdered him for it. The God of the Jewish people, the God of Islam, and the God of the Christians are all, for all intents and purposes, the same God with different prophets. Minor amount of studying here, okay? Biblical scholars fight with each other all throughout history for a reason, because those works were made to be fought over. The New Testament, the King James Version, was authorized by King James of England, a king, okay? Fuck him, literally. Fuck him, and fuck that whole bloodline, that bloodline thing they got going on. I said I wasn't going to start. Okay, I don't want to start. No human being has a right to rule another human being. When I look at the reoccurring patterns throughout history, European Americans came over here, the American Indians took us in and helped us, then we conquered them and put them on, plantations, right? Now, I'm going to have people that say, and these are the stories that are planted, they're going to say, well, they fought and conquered each other before we got here. Yeah, you're right. Humans are really good at really beating the fuck out of each other, aren't we? Maybe we should stop and question that and understand that God and the devil is an allegory for higher and lower consciousness, and understand that these things were planted into us by an extraterrestrial evil that wants to pretend to be the God, the creator of all, and it's not. And that this was made to be a prison soul garden of a planet. Okay? So the Europeans came over here and conquered this place, right? Well, I've been making lots of posts about this, and one of the posts I made, this is based on history, but I'll just read this to you. Philistia was a melting pot that included the Byzantine Greeks, the Philistines, the Hebrew and Aramaic-speaking peoples, which included Jewish people, not the sky daddy worshippers from Europe, okay, who converted to Judaism, who, were sent over to the Promised Land at the time, where there was only about 10% Jewish people in that area, 90% of it was Palestinian Arabs. This is in the late 1800s into the early 1900s. And I can get real in-depth into history because I've studied it at length. People don't want to hear all that. What I'll tell you is the Europeans basically have done in Palestine what we did a couple hundred years ago in this country. Philistia, is what it was called in ancient Greece. The Palestinians have been there since 12,000 BCE. Even Moses was angry at the Israelites that he brought out of Egypt. You really, really have to study and see that all this is being contrived, all this is being forced. I think religion is the bane of humanity. They claim separation of church and state, yet there is none. They feed you contradictions to keep you at war with yourself. If you've had marriage before sex, you should just go kill yourself because the Bible says so. If you look at someone and you're married and you think they're good looking, tear out your eye. I mean, if you really start looking at some of the bullshit that they say in there and you're clinging to it, people tend to want to cling to these things. There's a lot of our own personal ego involved in these things. You have to really try to learn to question everything. Violence isn't good. Murdering children isn't good. Thousands of kids are hurting right now. And my heart goes out to the Jewish people that are going to suffer because of this also. Because they are going to turn it into a big, bad war. And they want our troops involved over there. They want our troops also involved with China, Korea, and Russia. They want the majority of our troops not in this country. Meanwhile, they feed into your racist prejudices that you hold internally. The left, you have them. The right, you have them as well. They feed into that. They want to get that visceral emotional reaction out of you by what they tell you on the tells lies to your vision, which is the television. And you get caught and you get angry. I catch myself at it too sometimes. And I have to remember, well, wait a minute. And you just got to take a step back, breathe. The one who stays calm, doesn't panic and scan and breathe on the battlefield is the one who can actually survive. Don't get caught up in this knee-jerk anger that they want you to get caught up in. They want our troops all busy and they want us to break out into a civil war. You guys on the right, okay, I'm going to piss you off with my thought process on this because I side with the people of Palestine. You guys and gals on the left, I pissed you off 3 years ago when I knew that the cooties going around was a psyop. Okay? I'm going to piss you all off. Maybe I can unite you by making you mad at me. I seem to have that earthy effect on people. So maybe that's what I'll do. But if you're acknowledging that there's been a contrived and forced food shortage and that they're forcing an economic collapse and that they're forcing this and forcing that, and you're seeing it, you're picking this out like you're perfect conspiracy analysts, but then you shut off at the point where you don't understand that religion is a conspiracy and that politics itself and governments itself are all conspiracies and they're all religions. No human being has a right to rule you. They have us all lapping at the table like dogs to please don't beat us and abuse us. Which one's going to abuse us less? I could have put my thoughts together a little bit better on this, but all I'm seeing is people turning into complete hypocrites on what they think about what's going on. You can't see dark social engineers forcing this war. You couldn't see the ridiculousness of the supposed attack, things that happened. Now the counter offensive is very real and a lot of people are going to suffer, and then what comes after that is going to create even more human suffering. There's darker entities in this world that are the creators, the real creator of this world, which is a devil, which is an extraterrestrial. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm also going to be honest with you. When you die, you go back to the light. That's what we're beings of. We're beings of light. So all the sky daddy religions, you've been lied to. I don't care how crazy you think I am. If we can get to a point of underlying principles for all religion, and I'm using religion in the colloquial sense, not in the etymological meaning, which just means to bind and tie and rebind. In the colloquial sense, if we had a baseline of fundamental principles, such as you don't bring harm or initiate harm and you don't steal, and if we stuck to those principles in all their entirety, okay? And those are the base principles of every religious belief. I really don't care who your sky daddy is. Your God doesn't want you murdering people, okay? But then again, your God does want you murdering people. It's really weird and confusing to me, actually. It's very contradicting. But, stay in that schism and that contradiction. Keep rooting for one side or the other like it's a football game, and stay as distracted as possible while the world's burning. And this isn't biblical shit. It isn't the end times. They're trying to make you think in your head, there's a better life after this. No, there isn't. This is it. And it's a pretty awesome place, okay? I don't know, I see what's going on, and it just really, it gets very frustrating for people like me. And there's not a lot of people out there like me, I get it, but we're coming together. I think the people like me are starting to come together, but we're not able to wake up you guys on the left and right are referred to by your handlers as the dead. They refer to you as, we are nothing but fucking cattle to these people. And I'm not talking about the politicians. They're cattle. They're the cattle prodders. We're all cattle to what's running this. Okay? We're cattle. They don't give a shit about us. We've had thousands and thousands and thousands of children go missing in the last year, and McDonald's is serving 1-cent hamburgers. Human DNA was found in fucking hamburgers. Okay, tell me that ain't some huge satanic thing. Keep eating those burgers, folks. They're only a penny. Anyway, I'll have my thoughts together more as I go forward and start doing some of these things and speaking out more. It's been a minute since I've even put anything out. I'm really in shock with what I'm seeing. I'm not in shock with what the dark social engineers are doing, because they're doing exactly what it is that they do. They're the devil. They're evil. Okay, there's two kinds of devils. The devil that does evil, the devil that sees evil, knows it's evil, and says nothing. And the second devil is by far the worst devil. And if you're rooting for violence and you're rooting for the extinction and wiping out of an entire people, you're a devil. You're evil. You're bad. You're not the good guy. Everyone thinks they're the good guy. They fool you all into thinking that. Maybe this is just more of a vent and a rant, actually, and I'm not going to get angry. I'm actually fucking saddened by it. You see all these people being murdered, and you're getting, I stand behind, what is it, real, and I stand with Ukraine, and yet Zelensky and Putin were fucking friends. I did a whole podcast on that and actually put up slides and showed pictures. Still, your ego stays really hardened and calcified, and you can't admit that you've been bamboozled. You've been hoodwinked. You've been fooled. They got you. That's a hard thing to admit, just like it's hard to admit you've been wrong about something. I put my trash on the street because I knew I was going to talk out about this shit. I didn't have to put fucking half the shit out there I put out there. But you put it out there, and you be honest, and you be vulnerable, and you be willing to say where your own faults are at. That's where it starts, where you get rid of the contradictions and schisms within yourself. Then you're able to spot them easier with others. And then maybe you can help others spot them. That's part of what I'm trying to do. But the peoples that have lived in Palestine, which was a melting pot, Byzantine Greeks, Hebrew, Arab, the seagoing people that arrived there after the last great deluge, somewhere around 12,000 BCE. They've been in that area for over 14,000 years. If you look at that area of land, it connects Asia Minor, it's to Africa. It's a major stop. A major stop over there. Major port over there. Of course, people are going to want the more fertile land and the seaside land. When we settlers in America, look what we did to the American Indians. that's basically what I see the Europeans did later on over in Palestine, because people over there were getting along. This is what they don't want you to know. Christians and Arabs side by side had one culture in Palestine. And actually, the Judaic, Hebrew-speaking Jews of that area were part of that culture. It was the European, what I would call born-again worshippers of Judaism, okay, the bearded desert god, okay, who is probably one of the Anunnaki, to be honest. When they started to infiltrate that land and be put over there by a Rothschild, by, the Europeans, that's when things started to change. And something that no one thinks about is every time there's an archaeological find or some type of research that gets done over there, where they think they find, some evidence of the original Eden. Well, then we go to war with Iraq. They think they find the Ark of the Covenant in the 80s on a mountain between Russia and Afghanistan. Well, there was a huge Afghanistan-Russian war for a long time for something. They want to be able to keep the researchers and archaeologists and thinkers out of that area. There's something about the Middle East that hides the origins of human origin that they don't want us to know about. Why is that? Start asking the bigger questions. Zoom out a little bit, ask the bigger questions. I know I wouldn't want to see my child be hurt just because of their race. We all bleed red. All of us have extraterrestrial DNA in us, folks. Sorry, we weren't magically created. Okay, we weren't magically created by some guy with a beard who is a narcissistic sociopath that wants the firstborn child of every child in Egypt murdered and wants human blood and animal sacrifices. That sounds a lot like a devil to me. And weren't we told we would be fooled by evil? Too many contradictions for me to believe in religion in the way it is, which is why I'm a spiritual person. I died twice. Both times I seen light. So if we were made in God's image, quite possibly could we just be light and we return to the light? We return to God? Was Jesus trying to teach us that we are all indeed a part of God? Oh my God, that's heresy. He was teaching the truth and they attempted to murder him for it. Quit using his teachings or the teachings of Muhammad or the teachings of any prophet who was trying to speak truth to defend your religion, because they were all bastardized by the governments of those times, because the thing that really rules us doesn't want the truth to be spoke. We should start asking the bigger questions on why. Jesus told Thomas, my God is greater than your God. And when you actually start to seek, you will find. And when you find, you will be amazed, you will be scared, then you will be astonished, and then you will be the master, you will be the God of the universe. Because we all return to that which we came, which is a part of God. That's the reality of it. Take it if you want to take it, or keep fighting and killing each other over your version of what happens to us after we fucking die, and keep murdering people. I'm really just getting very preachy right now. I don't like how I'm sounding, so I'm going to kind of end this and just say, hey man, I want to say prayers to God with a capital G, that we can get some type of humanity, compassion, and common sense. With the things we got coming up in the world, we're going to need a little bit of all those things. And I don't want to get on here and get all riled up to get you angry. There's enough out there to anger people, okay? But anyway, I got an event that I'm going to try to make it to next week, to anyone in the freedom community. If I can't, I really tried, but I'm not stopping. At any rate, man, nothing but peace and love to everybody. Stay safe this weekend. And happy Friday. Coffee, Religious Rant with Dan. Peace out.